My name is Tyler David, and you're watching Field of Dreams on ACTN.
Okay, I just saw you playing out there, and you look real good. Who are you?
Well, you know, I'm Julian Kisa. I'm the best footballer point of the
Oh, really? You know any of the older players who play here?
Well, I know Warren Archibald, Leroy Dillion.
Stop. You know me? Boy, I was the best striker, the best forward that this country ever seen.
Oh, Wilfred K.
Boy, I'm Steve David, boy.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David and I'm your host. Well, today we have a special guest, special friend, special guest, and our ex-president of Trinidad and Tobago football. But let me leave him for a second and introduce my co-host, Narada Wilson. Narada, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure to be here. And we have an amazing guest tonight, and we will get to find out some of the information that has passed in football. So it's a pleasure to be here and good to be in the presence of you, Mr. Timke.
Okay, and again, like I said, my good friend, my special guest, Raymond Timke. Raymond, welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I hope so. You've seen what's been happening on the scene, and I want to discuss some of the things with you. From when you left office to now, and you can give me a good idea. But first and foremost, I want to ask you one question, and I want to do this because I want everybody to know it's not anybody you can just stick in a position and to get the job accomplished. You got to have some kind of background in something. And again, what's your educational background?
Education background? Well, I'm a South boy. I went to school in the South and went to Port of Spain. I did secondary education, and I moved on to the tertiary university education. And concurrently with going to school, I was working. At that time, I was the old ALICO, which was AIG. And having worked there for about 4 years on the field as an active insurance salesman, I went into administration as management, and then I moved into the executive. So that at age 27, 28, I had occupied an executive seat in AIG's subsidiary, ALICO in Trinidad. And I worked both in Delaware at AIG's home office, as well as in Trinidad. I went on, of course, I did graduate studies, and I obtained my master's. But that was in the 30s. I went graduate school and did graduate studies and got my master's in international marketing. So that is pretty much a synopsis of...
That set you up for big things. I mean, to manage any kind of company, I would think.
You know, the saying is, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Right.
And the good Lord had given me all those things, and I'm sure there were expectations. Right. And of course, I was invited in different areas of life, industry, and I serve on state boards. In fact, I've been giving service to government for over 20 years. I sat both as deputy chairman, and as well as chairman of state boards. So I have an appreciation for the private sector
Right.
at the executive level as well as government with the various bureaucracies, which is quite different from private sector. So I've had the benefit of both parts of the equation. And of course, that is why I could comfortably sit in any position and take care of myself and make some difference, before I leave.
I ask you that again because, I mean, when you got the job as the president of the Trinidad Football Association, you jumped in, you embraced it, and you took a dead horse and bring it back to life in as far as I'm concerned. And you shift the momentum from going backward forward. And we started to see some progress. And you should know, like all of us looking in from the outside now, looking in, we don't like what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so I want to get your views on what you think is going on and where we're going wrong. Or maybe you can give them some advice, so to speak.
Well, I don't give advice. I do some more teaching, and so I would disseminate information.
Right.
And as I say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I am going to disseminate, and those who are available
Right.
to accept the information, of course, that will be good for them. But I think one of the problems that I recognize, having been in football for many years, was that there needed to be some adjustments. And you would know the situation we had with the FIFA situation from 2010. And when I took office as the president in December 2012, the first thing I had to do, of course, was to change the face. And we call it rebranding. And of course, because the Football at the time Federation had a stigma, which was a deterrent against any sort of support from corporate Trinidad and as well as government.
Right.
And football, as you would know, you are an old star. You would know about the importance of finances for football. It's an expensive discipline for facilitators and hosts of football and football tournaments and development. So I went in, I did what we call a environmental scan, look at the whole scenario dispassionately, and I then proceeded to look at, prioritize the various factors in the process. And the first one really was to change the image of football. It's not an overnight thing, but you have to start somewhere. Where did I start? I tried to get people whom I thought were brighter than I am, because I don't want people who are less
Qualified.
endowed than I am educationally and professionally, and therefore I had the air and counsel sometimes of people who I thought were, a step above. And so we dropped the program. So it was a 3-year program. The first was rebranding. Now you're trying to change an image that persisted over some time, and one which had taken us and the discipline to some depths which kind of murky. So the exercise would have taken some time. And of course, there were no financial resources. When I went there was a debt of $38 million and 128 creditors. And I had to deal with that, because coming out of the private sector, I understood what it took for people to use their resources to assist you in a program. And many of those people would have taken all the last resources and injected in anticipation of a timely payback. So my first priority in that whole rebranding situation was to change the image from football of one that does not pay debt to one that honors debt.
Right.
So I had conversations with the various creditors, and depending on the extent of the debt, I started from the bottom up, because I thought the people who were fortunate to have put in millions of dollars, they had to be in a position to afford that.
Right.
But those at the bottom, of course, they were poor people who lived every day for every day, you know.
Right.
And therefore, the first thing I did was acknowledge the debt, say, yes, we owe you, and went ahead and gave promises in liquidation of the debt.
Right.
So that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did, I said, you know what? Let's change this. Let's give football the name that legally it has. That is TTFA, Trinidad Tobago Football Association, and not Federation. Federation, that's a different story. But I thought, if you have to do the right things right the first time. And therefore, I proceeded to do the right things right by giving football its proper name, TTFE. That was determined by the cabinet, by the government, by Parliament. It's in the records. So I changed that. What inevitably happens with a change of name is a change of behavior, because the name portrays a certain type of energy. And the association name had something to do with, it's all of us. Federation has the same thing, but Federation is more macro. But the association is more intimate, closer. If I'm looking after you, you look after me, that sort of thing. And we started to get some of that coming out of the administration. That was what was left of the administration, who needed some sort of rehabilitation because there was a trauma with the media and the public saying things about their employer, who was TTFF at the time. So therefore, we had to do some work with them. But quite apart from that, we had to look at the marketplace. Trinidadians love football. They love the entertainment. They love the people. They love to see how you don't know Steve David on that ball on the right wing, but that was a different experience, right? They love to see that. And therefore, concurrently with the rebranding, I had to look at the product, which is football, because you could have a fancy name and the product ain't good. You could keep your fancy name. So concurrently with rebranding, I also had to work on the product, which was the game. Hudson Charles, when I went there, he was the captain of the Trinidad team. Trinidad was 8 or 9 in the Caribbean. I mean, that is a daunting type of realization, right?
Hudson was 9. The coach, right?
Yes.
Not the captain.
Yes.
Captain?
Yeah. No, he was a coach.
Coach, right.
Yes.
Okay.
And Hudson had taken Trinidad in a somewhat respectable position. Mm-hmm. Nothing close to where it should be, but it was respectable as compared to where it was. And as time progressed, I brought in Jamal Shabazz, who was also a coach. And, you know, it was a big thing. How come I never hear about two coaches and all that kind of stuff? What I did was, and that's a pure leadership type of initiative, you look at strengths, you look at what you need, okay? And if you realize one of the resources has one part of what you need, and you are satisfied with that part, then you look for another resource who could supplement to get the whole. And therefore, what the weakness that Charles would have had, Shabazz had as a strength.
Right.
So I brought them both together, and hence the two coaches. Well, if you look at the trend, if you plot the trend on a graph, you're going to see Trinidad Football started to raise. And then we became like semi-finalists in the Caribbean from something down here,
right
up there. Having reached there, I said, you know what? We are now positioned to go to the next step. But I had doubts about the capabilities of both coaches, because good in the Caribbean is not good for the world.
Right.
It's not good for CONCACAF. So a game was arranged with Romania. And I went along with the team to Romania. I contacted Mr. Leo Beenhakker, who you would know, a man I have utmost respect for. Mm-hmm. And he agreed to leave his country, fly down to Romania, and he met with me at the game. Well, he overnighted in the hotel that I was in, so we chatted at night, told him what my vision was and what I would like. And he went along the next day to the game and asked him for, I want an objective analysis, dispassionate, objective as you can. I want a true picture of what you see on the field represented red, white, and black.
Right.
At the halftime, I say, Leo, he was next to me, what do you think? He said, Mr. President, I don't want to tell you now after the game. Well, I became anxious because I know he has something to say. No. The game ended, and we were 4-0.
4-something, yeah.
So Leo and I met, and he said, you all are not serious, right? I said, what do you mean? He said, you all don't expect to go anywhere what I saw there. I said, well, one of the reasons why I seek your advice and your counsel was to do exactly what you have done and come up with suggestions. He said, well, of course, you will need a technical staff and a coach. I say, I have a list containing some names, some coaches that we could look at. Well, all the coaches had their own profiles. So when he got a file, he got the profile on each of the coaches whose name was in the file. And he called the next morning around 3 o'clock, and he says, he said, President, I have not slept for the night, but I found the man that you need because this guy knows his stuff. I said, who is that? He says, Stephen Hart. He said he's a Trinidadian. He did very well for Canada. He beat some of the teams that Trinidad has never beaten in CONCACAF. He knows your culture, and he has a passion because he's one of those guys who would go. He spent time in Real Madrid at his own expense. He went to Barcelona. He went to Manchester United at his own expense, going there for a week and 2 weeks, just learning some of the ins and outs of the technical part of the game and so on. And he said, that's the man you need. Well, I don't know anything about anything technical. And if he done said so, it was so. Right. Because what he said made sense to me.
Right.
I called Stephen Hart. And, of course, he was elated because he always had ambition to come back to Trinidad to coach. And that is now history that he came in, and within a short space of time, he took Trinidad to places that we didn't go for many years before. In his first year, we had emerged to a position where we were in the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup.
Let me stop you here. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll pick up with Stephen Hunter.
Good.
Viewers, we'll be right back after the show.
And I lived to see up to today, I do not see a game that has been better than that one.
Right.
Trinidad came out and they showed their colors. They were fit, they were energized, they were ready, they were enthusiastic.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
So welcome back, viewers. Before the break, Raymond Timke was giving us his channel that he took to the point where he hired Stephen Hart. And now you're going to take us to Stephen Hart and beyond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in my first meeting with Stephen Hart, I realized he was one of those who, he played football. He left Trinidad, in fact, at age 23. He played some football. He played for one of our national teams, I think under 17 or something like that. And he went to Canada, he went university. So he has a solid academic background. So that's one of the things I thought was lacking in our national football. Everybody played football and they played well and there was elevation. But when it comes to the other part of the game, which requires assessing and analyzing and assimilating a kind of language and technology, you need a certain kind of background. And Stephen had that. He was exposed to the technology and the facilities because he was in Canada technical staff for a while. And therefore he was exposed to first world country type of facility. And with that and his mindset for passion for football and for Trinidad, I saw that was that sort of completed the whole scenario that I was looking for. And of course, as I say, the results were there within a short space of time where he had taken the team. And what I observed is that he had a relationship with the team. He assumed the position of father somehow,
Right.
or big brother, if you like, with the players. And there was a situation where the players played for him more than for Trinidad.
Right.
If you get my... And when you could have a coach getting his charges to play for him, it means there's a certain amount of obedience and discipline and all the things that he would require that they are going to support him with. And of course, the inevitable was obvious, the results. I remember I was seated with some other FIFA officials because from the quarterfinal into the semifinal into the final, you find all the big shots from FIFA would come to the venue for those games. I was among them, and I recall after our game with Mexico, the head of technical development in FIFA made a comment. He says, "This is the best game that we have seen for the entire tournament, and I am looking to see if, and I doubt, that another game will be as good as this." That was Trinidad against Mexico.
4-4.
Okay?
That's the 4-4 game?
That's the 4-4 game.
That's the 4-4 game?
4-all game, yeah.
No. That was the first quarter. That's the first quarterfinal. That was in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 1-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was, well, I lived to see up to today. I do not see a game that has been better than that one.
Right.
Trinidad came out and they showed their colors. They were fit. They were energized. They were ready. They were enthusiastic. They played for their coach and everything. No, that was one part of the trilogy. The other part, of course, as I said, running concurrently was the marketing, because the product now is now palatable. And people started to come back to football and get the excitement started. Now, to support that, you had to fix the face, fix the facade, fix the image. And that is when I appointed a reform commission. That reform commission consisted of 7 luminaries in this country. Only 2 are in football. One is Shaka Hislop, and the other is Patrick Raymond. Patrick Raymond, you may know Patrick Raymond.
I know Patrick.
He's the one who brought in Pele and all them here in the old days. And apart from that, we had Brian Lewis, who is now the president of the Olympic Association or committee. We had Mr. Raoul John. He was the CEO of KPMG for the Caribbean. KPMG is the international auditing firm. And incidentally, that is FIFA's auditing firm in Zurich as well. So he was brought in as the chairman of that committee after Derek Murray, who started for just over 2 weeks, had to back out because Transparency International gave him new responsibilities or added responsibilities, and he couldn't handle both. And therefore, when I excused him from the committee as chairman, Raul John was invited, and Raul came in. So we had Dr. Sheila Rampazad, who you'll probably know. She is a commentator. She is a very well-respected individual in our society. Very dispassionate, very constructive, no political lines, nothing. She's just smart, bright, objective. We had Dinan Ramnaran, who I'm sure you know. And I brought in Dinan simply because Dinan always demonstrated a propensity for fighting for the players. Right? So, and you know Dinan's objective. He says what he believes, but his sincerity was, the main criterion that I was looking for, sincerity of purpose. And Dinan's brought that. Who again?
Well, I've got a lot to cover. So
one more.
We can...
Senior counsel, Elton Prescott. A very well-respected, he was an independent senator at the time, and he's a senior counsel. Mm-hmm. So they got together and spent 15 months. I gave them the old constitution, told them what the vision was, and they reconstructed a constitution, which at the end of the day, FIFA, the parent body, said they wish that other federations could have a constitution like that. Because that constitution, which was written by people who are not in football, but people who are in management and leadership and law and all sorts of things, they went to the German Football Association, the British Football Association, all over, and they pulled those constitutions and looked at what was the best thing for Trinidad. And that, hence the constitution we have. And in that, I was sure to ensure that no president could sit in the president's office for more than 2 terms in succession. Before, it was 21 years or 22 years that Mr. Camps was there.
Right.
Right? And I'll say, well, you see, that can't work. The other thing was to allow each club in football to have a say as to who must run football, which was unprecedented. Before, it was purely delegates. And you know how that works, okay? So those were some of the fundamental changes we brought in. The organization chart looked different from what it was before, where I made the general secretary as the CEO, because in fact he is the CEO based on functions. Before, the general secretary was like a senior clerk, okay? The president function was more visionary and giving directives, but the actual operation came from the CEO. And so that was adjusted, and so I move away from the first and second and third vice president and said 3 vice presidents without any label on 1, 2, and 3, because there's equality in responsibility. It are no senior this and senior that. We all have responsibilities. See it, own it, do it.
Well, compare that with what we're seeing now, because my viewers want to hear what we're doing now and why we're doing what we're doing, and is it working, and all of that, because we have a lot of questions.
Right? Let me make a statement.
Okay.
It is felt in many quarters that good management is good leadership. Mm-hmm. It is felt in many quarters that there's no difference between management and leadership. Mm-hmm. It is felt in many quarters that if a man could run a club, he could run an association. Mm-mm. It does not work like that.
Right.
My critical observation is, as a trainer of managers and let me say lecturer in leadership, I could talk about a situation that what is quite obvious is that there's a blurring of the responsibilities from different offices. The president ought to know why The management ought to know how. If you know why and how,
You're good.
that's good.
Yeah.
But you must know why.
Right.
And I'm not sure if the why is clear. I'm not confused with the why and the how. Because if you really don't know the how well, what I am seeing now, it is quite obvious that there's a confusion. Because if what I have been told is true, where the person who should know why get involved with the people who know the how and tell them who to pick and who I have on a team and who to do this and who to do that, that's a problem.
Just about that, you're confusing my viewers. My
Yeah.
viewers want to know, why is the president making decisions
Because,
that the subcommittee shouldn't be making?
well, because I just said so.
I know the human why, but I didn't want you to
The
confuse them.
leader will know that's not within his purview.
Right.
He would know, notwithstanding his temptations as a human. He's a human being.
Right.
There'll be the temptation to get involved. But what leadership will teach you is that, notwithstanding that sort of boiling desire to get involved,
Right.
I can't. Okay, and I think, from a simple, basic position, that is one of the major problems where there's a blurring of the periphery. Nobody is sure where this starts and where it ends.
Right.
Okay, and because I recall very early a team that went in 2 Gold Cup qualifiers in succession with the same players, the same technical staff, suddenly took a nosedive. So I call Hart, because I still have a relationship I always had a relationship with them. I say, well, what is going on here? He say, Mr. Timke, I can't tell you that now. But I pressed him because I didn't like what I was building. I didn't like what we were seeing as a country.
Right.
And then I see things going south, not derogatory, but going down, right? And what came out from my inquiries in different segments in the whole scenario was that there was interference in the selection of players. And one thing I know of Mr. Hart, he is not a little boy. He is a professional who does what he believes is the right thing, not because you say so, because I say so. And if he believes that interference will interfere with the equilibrium on the team, that is what he objected to. And henceforth, communication was minimal or nil from what I have understood. But I went further to chat with players, most of whom see Hart as their father, paternal father, right? Or big brother, if you like. And the others, well, and this kind of temperate kind of atmosphere started to prevail because there's a pulling. A pocket of supporters going this way and supporters going that way.
There's friction.
Right. And therefore the cohesion that existed, and you know football is team. If there's no teamwork, then you know you have nothing. And that is where you started these things happening, and the teams start to lose and so on. And if you get a commentary of the Haiti game, when it's just unfortunate, but it has to do with interference. And not only interference. And you know what is disturbing, Steve? After 3 or 4 months, a popular sport personality who is in the media as well said, here now, so you know how to get fired since December? That is December the last year. Because Hart resisted being told who to put on his side.
Right.
Not only that, it was seen as if Hart was doing my bidding. which is unfortunate, but
Correct, yeah.
that is what it was. And therefore, Mr. Stephen Hart had a very challenging experience and complete this equilibrium because he has a team that it was now being fragmented. And then you see all the indisciplines. All those are things of your body language to say, well, I'm not happy, and so on. And those are some of the things that I think are counted for the things you have seen and we have seen. And unfortunately, the trend that we were taking has just dipped. Well, you hear all the comments. Trinidadians is a place of comments too. But the fact of the matter is, they say perception is people's reality, and the general perception is that things are not going as they ought to be going for all sorts of reasons. And when you look at the debt, the creditors, not all of whom, many of whom have decided to go to court because they felt that the response they got when they approached the association was one of hostility and aggression, and a comment like, what debts were incurred before we come here? We ain't dealing with that. We're dealing with what happened now. And that is unfortunate.
Narada and I have some questions for you. So let's shoot it at you, and you can give us some answer feedback, right? Do you think, and I want you to think about this before we're going to go on break, so I want you to think about it. Do you think that everything you have put in place is being either sidetracked or is being not even looked at for continuity or not? After we come back, I want you to answer that. Viewers, we'll be right back.
It's your strategy, because if this is a strategy, then it's an excuse for a strategy. This is not a strategy.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Before the break, again, Ms. Raymond Timke was giving us his insight on all the things that he thought that we not addressed in the proper manner. I had a question to you, Raymond, because I've said on this show before that the present president, like everything that you have implemented that made the train move forward, is being dislodged or sidetracked or kicked off the blocks, whatever you want to call it. Do you feel that way?
Yes, I feel that way because I think what I'm seeing is retrograde. For example, the development program, and you would know of development, football doesn't start as no 18-year-old, okay? And we had Anton Cornell, who is the most senior and most qualified coach and instructor from FIFA this part of the world.
Totally agree, man. I'm telling you. Yes.
Anton Cornell sat with the association and did out a development program, which started from grassroots. Anton went and certified over 175 primary school coaches. That is pre-C level.
Right.
Okay? In all, between C and the pre-C, he did 350 certified coaches in those few years. Anton Colley went to every crevice and every far-flung area in Trinidad where he did the coaching, certified the coaches, and had the children start through the grassroots program.
Ready to go, right?
That was all over the country. That seemed to have taken a nosedive.
Right.
Okay? A technical committee must have a technical director who is visionary and who...
That taken knows that.
A technical director is not a coach.
Right.
Right? He has to do programs and so on, and vision.
Right.
Vision. And I do not know I am seeing that vision.
I agree.
I came and look something like the Super League, which is a feeder to the Pro League, to the national team. There are so many clubs and communities who want to get involved in Super League football that I came and say, okay, everybody come.
Everybody come.
Divided between Premiership and Championship.
Right.
So everybody has a chance to grow and develop into this national senior team. That is going through some sort of turbulence, because I read in the papers the other day that the new chairman or the acting chairman says that TTFA cannot run the Super League because it's in a mess. And that is true. And that is why it was given to Tony Harford, who had the experience over the last 12 or 15 years in running the thing. Because of some political differences with he and a Minister of Sport, things came and happened, and I came and said, I'm not a politician, I'm here for football. So Tony, you come back, and so put it in place. That seemed to have gone in a different direction. The Pro League, we know what the situation with the Pro League. and so all those things which would have pointed to a position of taking our football to a certain level,
Structure as well,
have been compromised. Right?
Okay.
So, yes, that is disturbing. The other segment was the marketing. That is where the monies come from.
Mm-hmm.
We just hired, just before I left, a marketing company was hired to work with us exclusively. Mm-hmm. We had purchasing of the net, right? You have purchasing means if you're in Australia and you want a trainer jersey, you go on the net.
Oh yes, we talked about that.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. We had that. I don't know what has happened to that.
Right.
The revenue streams that we look at, we had purchased a vehicle with some.
That was wrapped with some
with
images. Yeah.
Footballer players and things. So at various sporting events and on Friday afternoons, go down Frederick, selling memorabilia, selling kits and replicas and all that stuff. Those are things that we are doing to help ourselves, to impress corporate trend that we're trying to help ourselves.
That's cool.
Okay? That has taken a dive. We also had like a fan pool. As you enter the stadium for those games, there was this big fan place where you're playing all the music the young people like, but selling our stuff. Right? Raising funds for football, not only for the development, but as well as taking care of debts. Those things seem to have gone to a different direction. I have not been to the association's office, so I don't want to say things, but a lot of things seem to have been disconnected, and I don't understand why.
Narada has a question for you.
Right, no, it would have gone along the marketing side, because something by statistics it's shown that the Joma, I think, deal has been the most popular football jersey ever in Trinidad and Tobago history. The 1989 strike squad was, but after that we saw a lull in the kits and stuff like that, and that was something that your administration worked out. Today I could tell you that has taken a nosedive in terms of persons actually going out to get the replica jerseys and stuff like that. And I was going to ask, what do you think about the marketing strategy? Has it increased or decreased, or do you think that they've completely stopped?
But I don't see a strategy, because I mean, if this is a strategy, then it's an excuse for a strategy. This is not a strategy. With a strategy, you could sit and you could plot an outcome, right? Yeah. I don't see a strategy. The thing about, look something that was introduced just before I left with that kit, I asked my administration at the time, why you all choosing kit? Do you wear the jersey on the field? No. Do you wear the pants on the field? No. Well, how you could choose
Kit for the players.
the kit for the people? Let the players decide. Show them the specimens you have. Let them decide what they like to see. Because when you go out, Steve, I'm not a footballer like right? But you know you must feel good about how you feel, how you look, how you know. All that adds to the value of the as far as enthusiasm and so on. So then we started that. So what you see, that finished product, the players selected that. And I might add, out of that rebranding exercise, my son, with his company, spent over $2 million to do the rebranding. All the logos, every advertising they did, all down to the tickets, design, everything. The Super League, the Pro League, not the Pro League, the Super League with the championship and the chairmanship, the national logo, the crest you see, the sizes,
He did change
everything.
the logo.
He did
Yes.
everything, including, of course, the IT part of it, right, with the website and all that stuff. And he hasn't got paid yet.
So what have you seen now that they brought in that made a change to, like how you came
I will
in,
throw
you did-
something
huh?
and see. I will throw something out.
What?
The NLCB deal.
What deal? NLCB was an old
Yeah.
benefactor to football since Louis Lee Singh was its chairman. Louis Lee Singh used to go all over the world to train that football team because he's a football enthusiast. He was the chairman of NLCB, and all the monies, the sponsorship, always came from NLCB. When the government changed in 2010, and I learned this when I went in office at the end of 2012,
Right.
and I went back to NLCB, the chairman of NLCB said, you are a PNM, and I am going to do nothing to make you look good, because when you look good, PNM look good. I said, football is not about me. It's not about PNM. This is a country thing. Football is owned by Trinidad and Tobago, not by me, right? And he caught it,
Right.
right? So that when the government changed with the new chairman, who is also a sports enthusiast, it's a matter of going back now and making good what was stopped just a few years before. And mind you, I went public with that, and I told the whole world what the chairman said. I said, the chairman of NLCB said this.
Right.
Okay? I said, the chairman of National Gas said that. The chairman of National Gas told our marketing head, people who play football don't wear yellow. Right? So the major sponsors who sustain football because of change of government and because of where they see, they make it a racial foolishness.
Right.
The people who play football, and therefore then they stop supporting that. So we had an uphill task, because those others who on the outside say, well, how come them stop and how come them stop? So therefore something in there that we know. In addition to that, what happened with the FIFA issue, that is what created a lot of the problem. So the NLCB thing, that is a no-brainer. That was an automatic, come back and let's continue the movement.
So, question, again, on the stuff that happened with Hart and the players moving and all that, what do you think caused that? Because you have to have some insight on that.
No, well, see, I always talk about Trinidadians and perceptions without information and so on. And I have said enough for that I don't want to contribute to that, because all I could come with is a perception based on certain things, and those things have not been tested, because I have never had any conversation with the hierarchy in TTFA to find whether those things are true or not. What you can do is form an opinion based on certain factors, but which I prefer not to share.
All right.
Without substantiated with any sort of...
Other question. Do you
Yes.
think the president is overstepping his responsibility or his bound and getting into things that he's not supposed to?
No, well, I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about a president.
A
also.
president.
So I am not personal.
All right. I am personal.
The president, or a president's function has to be clear and unambiguous in his mind.
Right.
He has to understand objectivity. He has to be dispassionate. He has to be middle of the road, so to speak.
Right.
Because you see, you do not serve only one constituency. You talk about a national situation.
The whole country.
And therefore, you have to be holier than the Pope, as the saying goes, when it comes to that discipline. And I am not sure that all presidents understand that.
So it's like running a club compared to running the whole country. The whole
Precisely.
Country. Okay.
It comes like you have your own household, you have your fence, you have your gate in your house, and you have your wife and your children, and you run that. You are the head of the house,
Right.
you are the husband,
Right.
and you're the
Right.
father, everything. It's a different thing if you become the community leader.
Right.
You deal with a different community with different people, and therefore, it cannot have. It has to be a situation of issues and not personalities. You look at issues.
Right.
Take out the faces, personalities, and most importantly, you must not feel wedded to that office. You must not be in love
Right.
with that office, because that office is about delivery and responsibility, nothing else.
In a timely manner as well.
Right. You have-
I say in a timely manner as well.
Timely
'cause
manner,
it
of course.
comes and goes
yes,
also.
yes.
Right, right. I'll give you a
Yes.
chance to ask him what's in your mind.
Was Mr. Timke involved as much with the players as the present head?
Well, I don't know the extent of the involvement with the present head. What I do know is I had a relationship with the players. I always, on departing Trinidad, I was always one to, if I couldn't go to the airport, I would be at the venue in the stadium the evening before. Fellas, good, best of luck, hold it down, you ambassador, that sort of thing.
Let me support his question. If the coach says we're not going to play a practice game or we will play a practice game, would you go and change that?
I am not the coach.
Okay. So that is pretty much.
I am told that the players have never had the benefit of a welcome back or a good luck on departing to any game. I am told. Okay? The players have said they have never had the privilege of a farewell, best wishes, go out and represent the country kind of thing, or welcome back, congratulations, or hard luck. They have said they have never had that.
Okay, before
In
you
the recent past.
we run out of time, I've got another question. Would you hire a coach and tell him if you don't win, he's out the next game or two? A decision like that, is that
Publicly, I believe, is the
Well,
a good
additional.
strategy?
neither publicly or privately, because it has to do with two things. Number one, the man has self-respect in the eyes of the public, okay? And quietly, he has self-respect for himself.
Right.
And if I were a coach, and anybody who masks themselves as an employer tells me that, I know that that's the end of our conversation, and that's the beginning of my departure.
Right.
Because it is rather insulting, unkind, unethical, uncouth. It is completely unacceptable.
Okay, we're coming to the end, so we're slow. I want to give you a chance. I've got 2 minutes to say anything in departing.
What I have to say is that what I would like to tell our national football supporting public is that Trinidad and Tobago is our country. And regardless of whatever discipline that we engage in, we expect that Trinidadians would support our representative team. I know Dennis Lawrence because, as a matter of fact, he was a person. I was having conversation with his manager for the last few years, and Dennis was always a person that I looked towards for the future, and not too distant future either, because of course that depends on Mr. Hart. But if Mr. Hart had decided on leaving of his own accord, then that would have been the first call. In fact, I called him Mike Berry and told him that because we have always been involved, and he has been Dennis Lawrence's representative.
Years,
And so I was kept abreast of his progress and his development. And it's something that I'm very proud about. And I know he's a person he deserves the support of all. Okay? Put aside his petty differences, just see Trinidad as the purpose for engaging and representing our country.
Okay. Do you have anything important?
Yeah, for me, it's good to hear the before and the after, and I just hope that the future is bright. And and I just really hope that things could get in order quickly, so we could get back on the track that we were.
Okay, and Field of Dreams do support our new coach, Dennis Lawrence. Dennis Lawrence, welcome aboard, bud. Wish you all the best. I know you're in a difficult situation, but do the best you can. If you need more advice, call me. Okay, viewers, we come to the end of the show. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank ACTN for giving us the opportunity to bring the show to you. Check us out on our Facebook page and drop us a line on our email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. The show is ended. Go in peace. I'll see you next Monday night. Good night.